Speaking for myself, if I had to wait a bit longer just to make sure that it's all very safe, that would be fine. I think everyone's sort of, a lot of people, even though it's tough, have sort of learned how to deal now with these lockdowns, and perhaps extending it a bit longer, making sure everything is safe, and then hopefully we'll be back on track next year at some point.
I would take the vaccine after a bit more data is available. I know that everything right now is very preliminary. I know the efficacy rates are 90% or so, but we still don't know, I think, exactly long-term effects of it yet. So I think they're still planning on following some of the participants for, I forget how long. So I would like to see how that progresses before I take any type of vaccine.
If it's proven effective, I don't see why I wouldn't, and why, yeah, I would.
It's great news. It's, I think it means a lot that there's an end in sight, and that, you know, that folks can remain disciplined in these kind of, you know, whatever, just hopefully just this winter, and then by springtime we'll be back in business.
Excitement, confusion, hesitation, and optimism. These are some of the emotions felt by many people on hearing that the COVID-19 vaccine will soon be a reality. Some can't wait to get a shot of the vaccine, and some are just not ready.
I am a pharmacist and I do not trust it yet. We have to wait because it is a very strange virus. I am not very much in favor of vaccines, but in this case it is necessary. But it seems to me too early to have already discovered it. We have to wait and see.
No, it's just another way for the government to make money off us.
It's been around 10 months since the coronavirus pandemic took over the world, and since then, many questions remain unanswered, while some lack clarity. Where did the virus come from? When exactly will the world have the COVID-19 vaccine? How effective will it be? How expensive will the anti-COVID shot be?
It's only by joining forces and working together that we will defeat coronavirus and build back better from this crisis. Our fates are in each other's hands.
Mais un deuxième combat, plus difficile encore, doit être mené.
But there is another battle that we must be prepared for, and that is the preparedness to make this vaccine available to the international arena. Will we be prepared when the first vaccine is launched on the market, that it will be available to everyone, avoiding a scenario of two worlds where only the rich have access to it and are able to protect themselves and return to their normal lives?
In order to halt the pandemic, every country needs to have access to and be able to afford the vaccine. The funds pledged so far are not yet enough to achieve this. I therefore appeal to all of you to support this important initiative.
Work related to vaccine research is in its final stages. Government of India is keeping a track of each development in vaccine development. We're in touch with vaccine developers and manufacturers. It's not certain whether there will be 1, 2 or 3 doses of a vaccine. It's also not decided what will be the price of the vaccine.
So, are these false promises just words of some more hope? Are we really close to a vaccine that can make us immune to COVID? More than 60 million people have been infected in the last 10 months, and the virus has killed over 1.39 million people. Vaccine companies and scientists across the world have conducted clinical tests, trials, and now they are all claiming that they are ready with their respective miracle shots, which are awaiting emergency use authorization. Let's find out all about the COVID vaccine dispatch.
Well done, I'm so pleased for all of you guys, I really am. I saw it in everyone's faces back in June, how much time and effort was going into this.
With this message from Prince William, it's clear that Britain is all set to turn the game of the COVID-19 vaccine race. 10 years of vaccine work achieved in 10 months. That's the outcome of the collaboration of the UK's University of Oxford and British-Swedish company AstraZeneca in front of you. On November 23rd, the makers said that their vaccine for the novel coronavirus could be around 90% effective without any serious side effects. News that created ripples across the world of researchers and drug makers. Social media was abuzz with congratulatory messages for the vaccine developers. The vaccine is expected to be rolled out by late spring or early summer of 2021. What happened in trials? More than 20,000 volunteers took part in the UK and Brazil for the Oxford trials. According to data from late-stage trials in these two countries, the vaccine was 90% effective in preventing COVID-19 when it was administered as a half dose, followed by a full dose at least a month later. However, in the Brazil group, study participants were given 2 full doses at least 1 month apart, and the efficacy was 62%.
Intriguingly in the results, although the headline is 70% protection, we do have a subgroup who got a half dose as the first dose and then a full dose as the second dose, where we saw 90% protection.
And now comes the most important question. What's the cost of the vaccine? Believe it or not, the vaccine will cost around $3 to $4 per dose, which roughly translates to 300 Indian rupees, making the AstraZeneca Oxford shot one of the cheapest options that would be available. The vaccine, however, would be available in India at a slightly higher price. It's interesting to note that this vaccine is also cheaper to produce than the vaccines being developed by Pfizer and Moderna. But what makes it stand out is that it can be stored at refrigerator temperature. A normal fridge storage means more access. The vaccine can be speedily distributed globally, especially in developing and lower-income countries.
This vaccine should do what we always wanted it to do. We wanted a vaccine for the world, not just for high-income countries, not just for this country. We're not safe until we're all safe.
AstraZeneca said the company has the capacity to supply 3 billion doses of the vaccine in 2021. The Oxford vaccine will also open new avenues for India. After hearing the news, the Serum Institute of India, the world's largest manufacturer of vaccines by volume, said that its first focus on supplying AstraZeneca's PLC COVID-19 vaccine is to Indians before distributing it to other countries. Discussing first on India, the CEO of the company said, and I quote, "It's very important we take care of our country first, then go on to COVAX after that, and then other bilateral deals with countries. So I've kept it in that priority." But days after making headlines worldwide with its COVID-19 vaccine, AstraZeneca is now facing tricky questions about its success rate. Several scientists have raised doubts about the robustness of results showing the shot was 90% effective in a subgroup of trial participants who, by error, initially received a half dose followed by a full dose. This news could hamper this vaccine's chances of getting speedy US and EU regulatory approval. AstraZeneca may run an additional global trial now for assessing the efficacy of its COVID-19 vaccine using a lower dosage. UK aims to inoculate those most at risk from COVID by Easter. But the question remains, can we really rely on the Oxford vaccine? Let's see how it fares against competitors. Another hopeful developer that has claimed to have success in COVID-19 vaccine race is American biotechnology company Moderna. The pharmaceutical giant has said that its experimental vaccine is 94.5% effective in preventing COVID-19, based on interim data from a late-stage clinical trial.
It's a really important milestone in the fight against the pandemic because it demonstrates that our vaccine, mRNA-1273, is able to prevent COVID-19 disease, including severe disease in people who've received it. It's really just a milestone, though. We have a lot of work ahead of us. Knowing the vaccine is going to be effective is great news, but we still need to complete the regulatory process, which involves completing the study and generating more data, even some follow-up and safety data. And then, of course, we need to get busy manufacturing.
So, how much will this shot cost? Moderna will charge governments between $25 and $37 per dose, which happens to be 1,855 to 2,755 Indian rupees per dose, depending on the number of doses ordered by respective countries. However, the European Commission wanted to reach a deal with Moderna for the supply of millions of doses of its vaccine candidate for a price below $25 per dose.
If the vaccine has proven safe and effective against COVID-19, every member state will receive the vaccine at the same time, on a pro rata basis, and under the same conditions.
Why does the company vaccine come at such a high price? According to Moderna's president, their vaccine costs about the same as a flu shot, which is between $10 and $50. It is also interesting to note that this vaccine was the brightest hope of US President Donald Trump's Operation Warp Speed program. Trump was seeking a political shot in the arm in vaccine push as elections neared. Because of the price and because of the links to the US government, the rest of the world will have to wait for the Moderna vaccine. It won't be a surprise that low-income countries may have to look elsewhere, like at the Oxford vaccine, for alternatives. As the competition heats up, many new claims have surfaced in the past few weeks. Moderna has now said that its vaccine is expected to be stable at standard refrigerator temperatures of 2 to 8 degrees Celsius for 30 days, up from a previous projection of 7 days. Compared to the Oxford vaccine, Moderna's vaccine can be transported and stored at fridge temperatures, but only for a month, whereas the former can last 6 months at these temperatures. For Moderna's vaccine to last this long, it has to be stored at minus 15 degrees Celsius to minus 20 degrees Celsius, and this may add to the price and eventually hamper distribution plans. Next in the list is the American pharmaceutical giant Pfizer and its German partner BioNTech-produced vaccine. By mid-November, they reported final trial results showing the vaccine was 95% effective in preventing COVID-19, with no major safety concerns. The safety vaccine has been tested on 43,500 people in 6 countries without raising safety concerns. By November 20th, Pfizer applied to US health regulators for emergency use authorization for its COVID-19 vaccine. This was the first such application in a major step toward providing protection against the new coronavirus.
It is with great pride and joy, and even a little relief. But I can say that our request for emergency use authorization for our COVID-19 vaccine is now in the FDA's hands.
But there's one challenge that can derail the company's effort to be the leader in the vaccine race. The main issue is that Pfizer's vaccine, which is based on a novel technology that uses synthetic mRNA to activate the immune system against the virus, needs to be kept at minus 70 degrees Celsius or below. That means once the vaccines reach vaccination centers, the shots must be stored at -70 degrees Celsius in medical-grade deep freezers and injected within 5 days, and if not, they go bad. The countries that would be opting for Pfizer's vaccine will need to build from scratch the deep freeze production, storage capacity, and even a new transportation network that will be required to keep the vaccine alive. Shipping companies are scrambling to prepare ultra-cold shipping and storage facilities to transport COVID-19 vaccines developed by Pfizer and Moderna, whose doses require deep freezing. Pfizer is also working with various cargo and transportation services for vaccine distribution in the United States, and even launched a pilot delivery program in 4 states to help it refine its nationwide and global shipping plan. All these logistic issues are said to have put Pfizer's vaccine cost at $20. However, Pfizer's CEO assured consumers that the vaccine will be free for all US citizens. He was likely referring to the first 100 million doses pre-ordered by the US government under Operation Warp Speed. Pfizer's vaccine requires 2 doses, given 3 weeks apart. The company estimates that about 15 to 20 million people will be vaccinated in the first 6 months once delivery begins. And then there is Russia's Sputnik V COVID-19 vaccine. Russia's anti-COVID shot might cost under $20 per person for international markets. Moscow aims to produce more than 1 billion doses at home and abroad next year. The Sputnik vaccine, named after the Soviet-era satellite that triggered the space race in a nod to the project's geopolitical importance for Moscow, is administered in 2 shots, each of which will cost less than $10. But for Russian citizens, inoculation will be free of charge. Russia's pricing announcement comes as Russia looks to scale up distribution and production. Russia plans to produce around 2 million doses of Sputnik V this year with the help of its partners in India, Brazil, China, South Korea, Hungary, and other countries. In fact, Hungary became the first country in Europe to receive the first samples of the Russian jab. Even Venezuela has placed its trust in Sputnik V and agreed to buy 10 million doses of the Russian vaccine. But that's not the only vaccine the country is producing. During the G20 summit, Putin revealed that Russia is preparing its 2nd and 3rd vaccine against COVID-19.
Russia is naturally ready to provide the vaccines developed by our scientists to the countries who need it. This is the first registered vaccine, Sputnik V, on the platform of the adenoviral vectors of a human. The second Russian vaccine, Epivac Corona, created by a scientific center in Novosibirsk, is also ready. The third vaccine is coming.
Many vaccines are in the final stages of trials, and countries around the world can't wait to procure the anti-COVID shots and protect their people from the coronavirus outbreak. Some of the countries even have the roadmap and facilities ready. The US is planning to begin inoculating Americans against the novel coronavirus by mid-December. US healthcare workers and other high-risk people could start getting shots within a day or 2 of regulatory consent. It's believed that US approval for distributing a vaccine produced by Pfizer and German partner BioNTech could come as soon as December 11th. As one would expect, the first people in the United States to receive the Pfizer vaccine would likely include doctors, nurses, and frontline emergency medical personnel, as well as those who are at the highest risk of severe illness and death from the virus. India is working on a locally developed COVID-19 vaccine candidate that would complete its final trials in a month or 2. The state-run Indian Council of Medical Research and privately held Bharat Biotech started third-stage trials of Covaxin in November. It's the most advanced Indian experimental vaccine. According to an ICMR scientist, the vaccine could be launched in India in February or March 2021. India is hoping to rely on Covaxin and 4 other locally tested candidates to control COVID-19, as they do not expect early access to sufficient quantities of those developed by Pfizer and Moderna. The other experimental vaccines on trial in India are the one being developed by AstraZeneca and Oxford University that will be supplied by the Serum Institute of India, Russia's Sputnik 5, Zydus Cadilla's Zykov-D, and lastly one that Biological E Limited is developing with Baylor College of Medicine and Dynavax Technologies Corporation. The AstraZeneca vaccine could be delivered to Indian healthcare workers and the elderly by January 2021. According to the Serum Institute of India, the AstraZeneca vaccine in the Indian private market would be priced at 1,000 rupees per dose, but governments signing large supply deals would likely buy it at lower prices. The Indian government plans to immunize 200 to 250 million Indians by July 2021. An ambitious timeline to make COVID-19 vaccines widely available in Britain by next spring is on track. Britain has secured 100 million doses of the AstraZeneca shot, many more than the 40 million of the Pfizer vaccine and 5 million of the Moderna vaccine. Britain expects to have 10 million doses of the Pfizer vaccine by the end of this year, which will be enough to protect 5 million people. Spain will vaccinate a substantial part of its 47 million population by mid-2021. According to Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez, the campaign will start in January, and there is a plan to set up 13,000 vaccination points across the country. Germany has identified 6 cities in the capital Berlin to be used as centers to administer the new coronavirus vaccination. The sites, which include Berlin's trade fair as well as Tempelhof and Tegel airports, will be set up by mid-December. Berlin has been allocated 900,000 vaccine doses and hopes to be in business by December or January 2021. Across Berlin, the goal will be to vaccinate 1 patient every 2 minutes. Australia has agreed to buy nearly 34 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine, and Health Minister Greg Hunt says the preliminary trial results have buoyed up confidence that Canberra will complete a vaccination program in 2021. Various vaccines have been declared safe and effective, but the struggle doesn't end here. There still remain some challenges. There is word on the prices of different vaccines, but there is no clarity yet on how much each dose would cost the people. It's very important that the producers make them affordable and governments ensure subsidy on vaccines for the economically weaker sections of society. But how we achieve that is yet to be seen. Besides affordability, logistical challenges are another concern. Procuring vaccines from different countries still remains an issue. Also, there may be a struggle to store them. Many countries still don't have a roadmap on how the vaccines would reach every nook and corner of the country. To vaccinate the world with a population of 7.8 billion, not only do haulers have to ship vaccines in unprecedented quantities and at great speed, but they must also keep the drugs in adequate cold storage for it to remain effective. And then, with time, you require confidence and transparency. Critics are concerned that the speed of both scientific review and vaccine regulation could compromise safety. To build confidence in vaccination, it's important that regulators, companies, and their research partners keep engaging data with partners and public to ensure transparency. Life has not been easy in the last 1 year. We have come a long way and battled many challenges. Our hopes are now pinned on vaccines, which are not too far from reaching people worldwide. With news of vaccines' robust efficacy coming from 4 big contenders, even the world markets have heaved a sigh of relief. Backed by the optimism around vaccine news, India's stock markets have already surpassed their pre-COVID levels. The American Dow touched 30,000 points for the first time on November 24th, as investors bet on a swift economic recovery. Other global stock exchange markets too are showing promising signs. The fractured economies are already showing signs of recovery, and developed ones like Germany have registered better than expected growth in the third quarter. It looks like people can't wait to go back to their normal lives. The wait shall soon be over.